Hello viewers and subscribers. As promised few months back that we will come up with lectures on demand, this is first lecture on demand topic that we are going to start today. And as per the demand that I received from one of a very little champ, I am going to start for him limiting reagent. A very simple but utmost important topic when it comes to analytical and physical chemistry, when it comes to calculations that can be used even to crack competitive exams or even in the field, industries, etc. So, friends, let us start with limiting reagent. Before I start with this topic, limiting reagent, let us take a simple example which is far away from chemistry. Let us talk about this marker. We people call it marker pen, and if I look into it, it is fundamentally in two different parts, that is a pen and a cap. When this pen and cap combines, it becomes a marker. Let us assume that we are having 10 pen and 10 cap, then I'm quite sure that we will come up with 10 markers. But if I say I am having 10 pen and 8 cap, I can now very easily say that I'll be coming up only with 8 marker pens. I'll have 2 less marker pen because I am having not enough cap. So the cap over here becomes my limiting part or component. Taking this simplest concept from daily routine into chemistry, if undertaking a reaction, if a reaction does not undergo up to the deduced product that we have calculated theoretically, it is because it lacks the quantity of one of the reagent. This reagent, which does not allow a reaction to go completely as deduced from the theory, such a reagent is called limiting reagent. See, for every topic to learn, understand, and make the concepts clear, you must have some prerequisites. For this, the prerequisite is you should know mole concept, you should know how to calculate molecular weight, and even you should have an idea about writing reactions or equations. So along with this video, in the description you will find video links for these topics. So if you have any ambiguity in understanding, go through it. Now let us start with limiting reagent by taking a very simple example. Friends, viewers, subscribers, while learning limiting reagents, examples are quite important, and I am going to take a number of examples today. Let us see that if I say H2 plus 1/2 O2 gives H2O. This is my equation. And if I just try to find out the weight that is associated with these data set, I can say that 2 gram of H2 combines over here with 16 gram of O2, giving me 18 gram of water. This situation is theoretical. This situation is idealistic. This situation works when and when you think of getting 100% yield. But you know the fate of every chemical reaction in a very rarest of the rare chance reaches to the 100% yield. Nevertheless, that is a different thing. But over here, we are quite sure that 2 gram plus 16 gram will give me 18 gram. That is, left hand side is equal to right hand side. But if the question that follows now is to be solved, how would you do that? If 4 gram of H2 reacts with 8 gram of O2, which component or reactant is the limiting reagent? When you get such type of questions, and then they will sometimes give you the equations, sometimes they won't. So it will be H2 plus 1 half O2 gives H2O. In such a case, first of all, always write down the weight which you can see from the equation. For example, if I say H2, it will be 2 gram, 1 plus 1. If I say O2, it will be 16 plus 16, 32, but it is half, so it will become 16, and over here you will have 18. So it is very clear from the data set that for every 2 gram of hydrogen, you require 16 gram of oxygen to get 18 gram of water. But over here, in the question, if you see beta, you have 4 gram of H2, you have 8 gram of O2. Now you have to select which of these two is the limiting reagent. See, it's a very simple cross multiplication phenomena. For every 2 gram of H2, you have 16 gram of O2. So for every 4 gram of H2, how much O2 would you have? You will have, or you will require 32 gram of O2. Now, please check whether you are having 32 gram of O2. No, you are only having 8 gram of O2. So, it is seemed from this data set that I require 32 gram of O2 to have a compliance with 4 gram of H2 to complete the reaction, but I am provided only with 8 gram of O2. So oxygen is lacking in this reaction. So oxygen is my limiting reagent. This easy is how to find out limiting reagent. Still, few people find it little difficult. See how. Sir, you discussed only the aspect of this way. Why didn't you go the other way? What would happen if I will go the other way? See what happens. Over here, for every 2 gram of H2, you require 16 gram of O2. What would have happened if you had only 8 gram of O2? You just cross multiply. From the question, you will only require 1 gram of H2. How much H2 you are given? You are given 4 gram of H2. So 4 gram of H2 is the quantity you are given, and you are requiring only 1 gram of H2. So H2 is no more a limiting reagent. It is no more a limiting reagent. So the only limiting reagent over here you have is O2. This is how you solve such type of questions. Now, we will be undertaking 2 to 3 more examples, just finding out the limiting reagents. And once we are confident with limiting reagent, then and then we will be moving further. Let us take an example. C plus 1 of O2 gives CO. For this particular example, we are told that for 24 gram of carbon, we are given 20 gram of oxygen. Which of the two is the limiting reagent while forming carbon monoxide? 24 gram of carbon, 20 gram of dioxygen reacts to form carbon monoxide. Find out the limiting reagent. See what happens in such a case. Carbon, it is 12 gram. Oxygen, it is 32 gram, but it is 1/2. So it is 16 gram. And the total comes to 28 gram. Always while solving the limiting reagent numericals, be very clear that the addition of the weight of the reactant must be equal to the addition of the weight of the products, and it is going so. Therefore, over here 12 gram of carbon requires 16 gram of dioxygen, so 24 gram of carbon will require, so just make a cross multiplication and answer will be 32 gram of dioxygen. What I told you, if you are still confused, always do cross multiplication for all the reagents. Over here, I just did the cross multiplication to get the required quantity of dioxygen, and it was 32 gram of dioxygen. Let us do one thing before concluding the answer, which can be concluded from this point. Let us do another calculation. For every 16 gram of dioxygen, you require 12 gram of carbon. So for 20 gram of dioxygen, how much carbon would you require? In this case, what we would do, we would have again a cross multiplication, that is 20 into 12 divided by 16, and I will end up by writing it as 15 gram. Now you check 15 gram of carbon. So over here, for 24 gram of carbon, I would require 32 gram of oxygen, and for 20 gram of carbon, I would require 15 gram of carbon. 20 gram of dioxygen, I would require 15 gram of carbon. So I am having 20 gram of dioxygen and I am having 24 gram of carbon in the question. Now the carbon content that is required is only 15 gram, but I am having 24 gram. So carbon content is not at all a limiting reagent, but this oxygen content is a limiting reagent. So over here we can say that dioxygen is our limiting reagent. So friends, this easy is to find out limiting reagents. Let us take few more examples in limiting reagent and move a step ahead. I hope you are getting what I am saying. Still, if you have any queries, if you have any doubts, you are always free to contact me. Moving a step ahead, C plus O2 gives CO2. Over here, it is said that 18 gram of carbon reacts with 32 gram of oxygen, which is the limiting reagent. 18 gram of carbon, 32 gram of dioxygen. Let us first write the idealistic value. Over here carbon is 1 mole, so 12 gram. Oxygen is 1 mole, so it will be 16 to the 32, and I'll end up by writing 44. Now just have a close look at these values, 12, 32 and 44. See what happens. For every 12 gram of carbon, you require 32 gram of dioxygen. So for 18 gram of carbon, how much dioxygen would you require? For 12 gram of carbon, you require 32 gram of dioxygen. So for 18 gram of carbon, how much dioxygen would you require? And the answer would come 48 gram of dioxygen. Just have a look over here. Do you have 48 gram of dioxygen provided? No. So from here itself, you will be able to answer that, sir, my limiting reagent is dioxygen. Sometimes from this particular point, the question becomes more clumsy. That what quantity of limiting reagent is required? What quantity of limiting reagent is required? The total quantity of limiting agent required over here is 48 gram. Why? You check it. For 12 you needed 32, for 18 you will need 48. So what quantity of limiting reagent is required? 48, because limiting reagent is dioxygen. Now another question, how much difference is there? Then it will again be 48 minus 32. We will end up with 16 gram. So if you will add to this 16 more gram of dioxygen, I am sure that idealistically, theoretically, the reaction will go 100%. So friends, along with identifying the limiting reagents, you must also identify these two questions, that is, what quantity of limiting reagent is required and how much difference is there. So this is how we calculate for limiting reagents. Let us move still a step ahead and in detail before learning other topics. Remember, this lecture is topic on demand. You can also mail me or send me a simple message regarding your topic on demand. I have received 2 topics on demand from this particular viewer, and the first topic is the current one, that is I am doing, and the second topic that I have been provided is the empirical formulas. So I'll be coming up with empirical formulas soon. So in limiting reagent, let us take another example, and now I am making the question more detailed. If 28 gram of dinitrogen is reacted with 4 gram of dihydrogen, what quantity of ammonia is obtained? What quantity of ammonia is obtained? See what happens. These type of questions are not provided with the equations, but from the question itself you can judge that we are talking about Haber's process. It is the phenomena or the process by which ammonia is obtained. So you have a very simple reaction to be undertaken. N2 plus 3H2 gives 2NH3. Over here, ideal data is 28 gram of N2, 6 gram of H2 gives 34 gram of ammonia. 28 gram of N2, 6 gram of H2 gives 34 gram of ammonia. What quantity of N2 you have? That is from the question paper. 28 gram. And what quantity of H2 is given? 4 gram. So first task is to identify the limiting reagent. From here itself you can say that when you have 28 you require 6, but you are given 4. Flat H2 is your limiting reagent. Although let us solve. For 28 you require 6. So for 28 how much would you require? Your answer is 6. You are given 4. So limiting reagent is H2. The second portion comes now. That what quantity of ammonia is obtained. Now be very precise. After identifying limiting reagent, if you wish to calculate quantity of product, if you wish to calculate the quantity of product, how would you do? Always make a cross multiplication between the idealistic value and the given value of limiting reagent with the product. Again, I am speaking, after identifying the limiting reagent, if you are interested in finding the quantity of the product, always make a cross multiplication calculation between the quantity values of limiting reagent, both idealistic and given in the question paper, with your product quantity. So for every 6 gram of H2 we get 34 gram of ammonia. So for every 4 gram of H2, how much ammonia would we obtain? So it is 34 into 4 divided by 6. And when I try to solve this, it is 68 divided by 3. So I'll end up somewhat around 22.66 gram. You can cross check it, and if you find any odd answers that I am writing here, as always, you have reported me in the comment box, by email, by WhatsApp, everywhere I can be with you. So my answer would be 22.67 gram. So the quantity of ammonia that is obtained is 22.67 gram, and it is true. For 6 you need 34, so it has to be less than 34. So friends, thumbs up. This is limiting reagent numerical. Let us still have another numerical from the same concept. Along with this limiting reagent solution, let us have another numerical. 40 gram of NaOH combines with 73 gram of HCl. 40 gram of NaOH combines with 73 gram of HCl. Complete the reaction, find out the limiting reagent, and also find out the quantity of product. See, this is the spectrum of questions that can come when we just are very clear with mole concept, calculating molecular weight, and the limiting reagents theory. See what can be done over here. The very first thing that we require is a simple equation, that is NaOH plus HCl. I will end up with NaCl plus H2O. In this particular set of question, calculating the molecular weight, this is 40 gram, this is 36.5 gram, this is 58.5 gram, and this is 18 gram. Now, these are the ideal data that are available. You are given 40 gram of NaOH combining with 73 gram of HCl. So 40, 73. Complete the reaction. So this is my reaction. So I am done with the question number 1. I have the reaction with me. Okay. Now, what about the limiting reagent? You can see very well from here that for every 40 gram of HCl you require 40 gram of NaOH you require 36.5 gram of HCl. So for 73 gram of HCl you will require at least 80 gram of NaOH. But over here you are only having 40 gram of NaOH. So this is our limiting reagent. So my limiting reagent is sodium hydroxide. If my limiting reagent is sodium hydroxide, what is the product I must get? During this calculation, I have to always use the data set of the limiting reagent with the product. So for 40 gram of NaOH, I am getting 58.5 gram of NaCl. So for 40 gram of NaOH, how much? And my answer will be 58.5 gram of NaCl. This is how, friends, we go with limiting reagents. So I hope you are able to solve limiting reagents. I think the number of questions in this limiting reagent examples are enough for you to learn. Still, if you have any questions in limiting reagents, always feel free to contact me so that I can add. What we have planned is, while discussing the topics on demand, just from your topic, if you only give me, sir, explain limiting reagent, this is what I will do. Now after looking to this video, if you think that, sir, I wanted this aspect of limiting reagent or that particular question of limiting reagent, feel free. Just mail me that question, WhatsApp me that question, I'll go accordingly. So, limiting reagent is done. Topic on demand 1. Coming to the topic on demand 2, that is empirical formula. Let us find out what this empirical formula is. I'll just take an example and help you solve this question. Rather than going the either way, let me go this way. I will be very easily able to help you get to your answer. Let us take one question. I hope I will be able to justify this topic empirical formula by just one simple example. Let us try. Be accurate while learning this topic. It is very simple, because here you have to make a difference between molecular formula and empirical formula. This is what we are supposed to do here. That is molecular formula and empirical formula. Let us take a very simple example that I am going to solve over here, and I'll just take 30 seconds of yours. I just want to have some data set ready with me, and that is what I'm doing. Okay. If the quantity of carbon is 93% and that of hydrogen is 7%. If the quantity of carbon is 93% and that of hydrogen is 7%, calculate its empirical formula. This is an incomplete question which will be completing after making you understand empirical formula. What I'll write the elements carbon and hydrogen. I'll write their percentage composition in that compound, that is 93 and 7%. First thing that I'll do over here, I will divide this percentage by the atomic weight. Over here, what would I end up with? I will end up over here somewhere, as it is 93, 12, 8s are 96, 7s are 84. So 84, 87, 90, 93. So I'll end somewhat around 7.75. And I'll end somewhat around 7 over here. So just divide this percentage composition by its atomic weight. You will have two numbers. Among these two numbers, or as many as elements you have, you just try to divide each one by the smallest number present. Divide each one by the smallest number present. So over here I'll divide by 7, over here I'll divide by 7. Approximately over here I'll have 1 point something, let us make it 1. So carbon is 1, hydrogen is 1. So I have carbon and hydrogen in the ratio 1 1 CH. Remember friends, this is my empirical formula. This is my empirical formula. Now, this is one way of learning empirical formula. Is there any other way to learn empirical formula? I will say yes. What is that other way to learn empirical formula? If I say I have C6H12O6, this is glucose. What is the empirical formula for glucose? Start dividing each number. Let us divide this all numbers together up to an extent that you get whole numbers. So I'll divide this by 3, I'll divide this by 3, I'll divide this by 3. So it will be C2H4O2. Is there any possibility? Yes, still I can divide 2, 2, 2. CH2O. This is the empirical formula. A very non-technical, simple, mathematical method. If someone tells me C6H6, what is its empirical formula? Divide in such a way that all numbers can be divided by a single number, CH. This is my empirical formula. This is where things go. This is where you are supposed to learn. This is what you are supposed to learn. These are empirical formulas. Empirical formula is a very simple concept over here. And I'm not going with the definitions and stuffs like that because I am more interested to just make you learn empirical formula. The reason for me taking this example is the standard in which you are studying as you have described with me in the message. You will find such kind of numerical. That was the hint I wanted to give you. So I went by this protocol. Otherwise, this is a very simple way to help you know what is empirical formula. If someone tells me, what is the empirical formula for oxalic acid? First of all, I should know the structural formula for oxalic acid. So today I am going to help you learn 3 things. Empirical formula, molecular formula, and structural formula. When I say structural formula for oxalic acid, it is this. When I say molecular formula for oxalic acid, C2H2O4. This is the molecular formula for, this is the structural formula for oxalic acid. This is the molecular formula for oxalic acid. And going for the empirical formula, divide it. Do you have any possibilities of dividing? Yeah. CHO2. So CHO2 or sometimes CO2H, whatever you wish. This is empirical formula. Friends, this is the way from structural formula to molecular formula and from molecular formula to empirical formula. This is how you should do. Let us take one more example. Succinic acid. Now you will come up with another doubt in your mind that what are the structures of all these acids. I am going to take a very lucrative talk in the coming days and there you will know all about it. When I say succinic acid, it is CH2COOH, CH2COOH. So it will be C4H6O4 molecular formula. Let us go with the structural formula. It will be C2H3O2. C2H3O2. So this is how you can very easily learn empirical formula. So our first topic, limiting reagent, is all done. Our second topic, empirical formula, is justified. So thank you. If you have any queries in this topic, you can fetch me up by my email or by my WhatsApp or by any means like comment box. Keep demanding. I'll be coming up with possible things that I can do for you all. And if you have any queries, especially the person who demanded it, his photo and name is there on the thumbnail of this video. You can still contact me for these two topics. And I could see that two more topics are flashed by you. I'll be coming up on them very soon. If you have any queries on this, you can just get back to me. Thank you all. Thank you.